Argentina sees massive mobilizations in support of Jujuy protesters who face police repression for demonstrating against the local constitution. At least 16 people have been injured following an explosion in the 5th district of Paris, known for being a Latin quarter of the city center. The Russian defense forces frustrated a second attempt by the Ukrainian forces to attack Moscow. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. On Wednesday in Argentina, unions and social organizations gathered in several cities in support of Jujuy protesters and in rejection of local constitutional reform. Social activists indicate that they decided to advance the mobilization and assured that new labor unions will join in. So far, on Wednesday, mobilizations have been reported in Mar del Plata and Buenos Aires after the call of unions, guilds, and human rights associations to promote a national strike in support to the claims of the people in Jujuy. In view of this situation, the head of the government of Buenos Aires, Rodríguez Larreta, ordered the deployment of the interior police of Buenos Aires to neutralize such mobilization. Let's get to know a little about Governor Gerardo Morales. He assumed in 2015 the governorship of Argentina province of Jujuy. After taking office as governor, Morales started an underhand process to take over the provincial public power. To this end, one of his main goals was to dismantle the movement Tupac Amaru. Hence, the detention under the false accusations of its top leader, Milagros Sala, and other top representatives of the movement. In 2016, Morales approved a new confrontation of the Provincial Supreme Court of Justice that elected 9 members under his district command. In Honduras, people are shaken by the Terminal Women's prison tragedy. On Tuesday night, the government announced the appointment of a new security minister. General Gustavo Sanchez, previously director of the National Police, will become, as of Tuesday, the head of the office. In a communication submitted by the Ibis Alvarado, Minister of Communication Services, some of the initial decisions announced by President Xiomara Castro were made known. The head of state assured that her government remains committed to fight organizing crime and dismantle the boycott against internal security property from the prison. On Wednesday, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel met with his Serbian counterpart Alexander Vučić at the Palace of Serbia. Both leaders reaffirmed their commitment to strengthen the historic ties of friendship and cooperation between their nations. In addition to the meeting with Vučić, the Cuban president also met with President of the Serbian National Assembly, Vladimir Orlic. The Cuban leader expressed on his Twitter account during the meeting with Orlic, they shared their interest in deepening the inter-parliamentary links between their nations and the willingness to continue strengthening the bonds of friendship and cooperation between their nations. On Wednesday, the president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, started his agenda in Rome with a meeting with his Italian counterpart Sergio Mattarella at the Palazzo di Quirinale. Lula and Mattarella addressed bilateral relations, the strengthening of relations between their nations, and the agreement between the European Union and Mercosur. Lula's visit also included a meeting with the Italian Premier Giorgia Meloni at the Palazzo Chigi and the Pope Francis at the Vatican. In this third trip to Europe as a new president, Lula Lula has already met with former Premier Massimo D'Alema and with the Democratic Party Secretary Eli Schilling. The Brazilian leader was received by the pontificate in the Vatican City, where they discussed Lula's initiative over the Ukraine conflict and also President Lula's perspective of how to stop hunger and inequality. After the words, President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva thanked Pope Francis in his social media for the audience at the Vatican. The Brazilian Senate approved on Tuesday the Mais Médicos, which translate to more doctors, social program relaunched by President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, which facilitates the hearing of foreign health personnel to attend the most vulnerable population and the most remote regions of the country. The program, which was abandoned by the right-wing Jair Bolsonaro, guaranteeing more than 96 million people, and its relaunch intends to increase the number of doctors to 28,000. The foreign health professionals will be assigned to the post of the single health system located in favelas and will be able to participate for 4 years in the country without having to revalidate the decree at the universities, and will receive salary and education incentives to guarantee their permanence in the places of the country that most doctors reject to the distance or isolation. Let's take a very first break now, but remember, you can now follow us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. Police forces in France confirmed on Wednesday that at least 24 people have been injured and 4 of them in critical conditions following an explosion in the 5th district of Paris, known for being a Latin quarter of the city center. Paris police spokeswoman Loponara said it was too early to determine the origin of the fire and that she could not confirm reports of a gas explosion while warning people to avoid the area. In the meantime, local media sites witnesses describe it as a large explosion preceding the fire and saying that part of the building collapsed. Paris authorities add that the facade of one building had fallen onto the streets as a result of the explosion, and that many firefighters and members of the police forces were attending to the scene. In France, on Tuesday, Nobel Prize-winning economist Esther Duluth called for a global climate tax and asserted that the carbon emissions cause lives. Duluth denounced that rich countries impose a huge cost on poor nations and asserted that global warming caused by rich countries will lead to increased mortality in poorest countries.
We can ask ourselves what effect climate change will have on mortality in the poorest countries. To sum up, we can say that it will cause 73 deaths per 100,000 additional people. This figure may seem abstract, but what makes it very concrete is that it is equivalent to all the deaths due to infectious diseases today. So heat, just heat. I'm not talking about typhoons or floods. Just hot temperatures will cause more death every year between now and 2100 than malaria and AIDS put together. And all this death will occur in the poorest countries. So on the one hand, emissions come mainly from rich countries. On the other hand, mortality will be mainly in poor countries. So our behavior today, and I'm not even talking about the past and reparations, our behavior today is putting a price on human lives for every ton of carbon in the atmosphere. So if we put a price on these human lives, we can see that we are in fact imposing an enormous cost on the poorest countries through the way we choose to live today.
The U.S. Coast Guard said on Wednesday that rescue searches for a missing tourism submersible near the wreck of the Titanic have detected underwater noises in the search area. Authorities also added that 5 people on board are estimated to have less than 24 hours of oxygen left. All communications was lost with the 6.5-meter craft during its descent on Sunday to see the remains of the British passenger liner, which is nearly 4 kilometers below the surface of the North Atlantic. Meanwhile, U.S. and Canadian Coast Guard ships and planes continue looking for the vessels, which was attempting to the bed of the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. According to the U.S. Navy, rescue aid has been pouring it from around the world with an specialized winch system for lifting heavy objects from extreme deep and other equipment and personnel who've joined the rescue efforts on Tuesday night. China has described as extremely absurd and irresponsible the comments of U.S. President Joe Biden, who called Chinese President Xi Jinping a dictator. On Tuesday night, Biden offered a completely opposite account to the one referred by his envoy to Beijing, Antony Blinken. He assured that Xi Jinping confessed that he was ashamed of the Chinese balloon incident, which never happened. On Wednesday, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning referred to the White House top official attitude, stating that it is a blatant political provocation which violates all diplomatic protocols and undermines the dignity of the Chinese politics.
The relevant remarks from the U.S. side were extremely ridiculous and irresponsible. They have seriously violated basic facts and diplomatic protocol and China's political dignity. It was an open political provocation. China is strongly dissatisfied and resolutely opposes this.
On Wednesday, the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed national troops frustrated the second failed attempt by the Ukrainian forces against Moscow, capital of the country. According to a detailed report by Andrei Vorovoy, governor of Moscow's Region 2, on a main aircraft overfleeted the narrow Fominsky district, 30 kilometers from the capital. The target was a military facility, the warehouse. The statements of the regional head of state were supported by the Defense Office, which certified that the drones were destroyed by electronic device and did not cause any human or material damage. On Wednesday, the Russian President Vladimir Putin said there is a certain claims on the Ukrainian front at the moment. Putin also stated that Russian authorities will accelerate the serial production of an aircraft to supply the needs of Russian troops.
Oddly enough, at the moment we are seeing a certain calm on the front line in Ukraine. This is due to the fact that the enemy suffers serious losses both in personnel and in equipment. The strengthening and the developing of the army of reliable security for our country have been and remain our absolute priority, taking into account new challenges and, of course, the invaluable experience of conducting the special military operation. We will continue to develop the armed forces. The most important task here is the development of the nuclear triad, which is a key guarantee of Russia's military security and global stability.
teleSUR English launches its own video on demand site for you to go and revisit our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Just go to the top left corner in our website homepage and click in the video option to access our VOD platform, where you can even revisit this news brief. Now we'll have a very short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. On Wednesday, in Sierra Leone, police cracked down on opposition protesters in front of the Congress headquarters of the All People's Party in Freetown, the main opposition party in that nation. The demonstration comes a few days before the Sierra Leoneans go to the polls. Some protesters accuse the Electoral Commission and its chairman, Mohamed Konet, of alleged bias in favor of the ruling party. A week ago, the Electoral Commission delivered samples of electoral data to the party, but later withdrew it, claiming that the document contains some errors. Meanwhile, demonstrators demanded the publication of a more detailed electoral consensus.
I am a student. We are here to protest because we want a credible elections. All we are asking for, we don't have problem with the government of the day. We just want a credible elections. If the elections is free and fair, definitely there will be no protest. People will sit as fully. But since ECSL wants to manipulate this election, we, the youth of this country, are ready to go on the rampage to ensure that they do the needful.
In Tunisia, on Wednesday, 2 people were killed and over 30 injured after a train derailed at the Meccan station in the northeastern region of the country. Now, this isn't the word the driver and one of the passengers still unidentified. When the persons were taken to hospital in the area to be assisted. According to the Reyes, director of the Regional Health Services, most of the passengers had been discharged. For the moment, Tunisia's National Railroad Community has not reacted on the accident. On Tuesday afternoon, at least 3 people were killed by a bomb explosion in the vicinity of the town of Guba, located in Mandara County, near the border with Somalia. Officials reports state that the victims are 2 policemen and an engineer, but their identities have not yet been revealed. The primary suspect of the incident is the Somali group Al-Shabaab. According to the statement, these events took place 2 days after 2 military personnel were killed in an attack by the suspect Al-Shabaab member in Lamu County, also located near the Somali border, in which more than 20 soldiers were also wounded. The Aymara New Year celebrations have begun in Tiahuanaco in western Bolivia, an important change of a cycle known as the Pachacuti. Thousands of Bolivians, including President Luis Arce Catacorra and Vice President David Chucahuanca, will celebrate with water and fasting the first prayers of the sun and the arrival of the Indian Amazon New Year 531. The pilgrim of the many has begun days ago in order to arrive this June the 31st in the ancient city located near Lake Titicaca. The ceremony, which is performed to praise the legacy of ancestors, has the purpose of discarding the old and the bad to give way to that spiritual renewal. This year, according to the voices, Aymara call for the strengthening of neighborhood. We have come to the end of this brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For teleSUR English, I'm from the South, I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.